Okay, let's make a start for today. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. Um, we're going to, Jochen is going to do most of the talking today. I'm just going to do a very short introduction. We've been Value Match and Jochen and his business partners have been working together for we're just trying to work it out. I think 13, 14 years, something like that.
Hmm.
And in the time we've exchanged lots of ideas, and I remember very early days we talked about a game, and because I've been creating an experience for Spal Dynamics where we take people through the life conditions. But that's a training that I've done a lot in like spiritual communities or self-development trainings, and doesn't fit so very well in organizations. And so a few years ago, Michael and Jochen let me know that they actually had developed a game that works really well in organization settings. They've been for many years. Jochen, you can tell a
Yep,
little bit more about it yourself later,
I
but
will.
they've been working with various organizations, specifically also in like large cultural change. So not a lot of us work with individuals and teams, but they've also done a lot of work where trying to shift the values of an organization, trying to improve the culture, and using Sparta Limits as a lens to see what's the next natural step. And from that work, they've developed this game,
Và
which
cái gọi là
has
nghịch lý
been
năng suất.
played quite a few times, I understand already.
Yes.
And so today, Johan is going to tell us a little bit about what the game is about, and you can ask questions to him after his presentation, and then we'll also talk a little bit about October, because in October we're planning to host that game here in the Netherlands, in Utrecht. So good. So for
Yes.
those that just joined, please put the name of your country or city behind your name on Zoom, so we have a bit of an ID where everybody's from. And Jochen, I leave it up to you to fill this space.
Thanks, Auke. Thank you. So, welcome everybody, and thank you for your precious time. Thanks for joining here. Really appreciate it. Your curiosity and your interest in this simulation. I'm Jochen, and as we are quite a small group, let's do this right whenever you have a question. You can raise your hand, your virtual hand, or you put a message into the meeting chat. I will track that, and then we can do it in a free dialogue style. I have some pictures or some slides to show, but nevertheless, if we can get into a dialogue, it is more sufficient, because you might have different questions to what I can say in general. So I can immediately jump onto your specific ideas or questions you have. So first of all, when we talk about the global community game or the inventors or what we did here, when we talk about it's basically my company I run with together with Michael Fox. I've also put the address, the web address here, File for Success, and also the web address where you can find the global community game. And of course, the later when it comes to the to signing in for the workshop in Utrecht, you maybe okay, you will share again the address where you can sign in. So what we basically do is we work as business consultants, and we do large-scale transformation, cultural transformation, as Auke said, basically in companies, but also we were also working with NGOs. We are working with sport clubs. We also working in the or supporting transformation in projects like in schools. And we even played the global community game in South Africa for an intercultural meeting, and so on and so on. So it's been played several spots around the world. Riga, I remember Brazil, I remember South Africa, and now upcoming the Netherlands. Yeah, great.
Utrecht, yeah.
Yeah, Utrecht. Yeah. So we're really looking forward to that. So it's proven in an international context. We got it. We got it now for Switzerland and for France. We have it also in French language. So basically, the languages we have it here is German, English, and French at the moment. And we are very much open to, whatever comes. Yeah, it's a big project. But first of all, how come that we developed a game or a simulation like this? As we've been also working with profiles like value match, and working with spiral dynamics for I think 15 years or something, we realized that the last decade, let's say, people got more and more interested in this kind of, let's say, map, yeah, or orientation, of a framework like spiral dynamics that gives a very clear orientation in times of high complexity and high dynamic that we're experiencing worldwide now. No matter if you look at politics, at educational system, in the economic situations, and so on and so on. So everywhere we're looking at a great a high dynamic and complexity, which is not easy to grasp now. Yeah? Highly insecure. Probably heard about the VUCA world and things like that. And this was as Michael and I, always think in, let's say, a creative, innovative style, on how we can easily access, or how we can really transport the idea of what the deeper value systems or mindset, whatever you call it, yeah, the deeper levels under the iceberg. How can we address that when the world is just in a mode of logical thinking and linear thinking, and very much in the head? And this is where we started with one of our customers, basically, where we did a complete cultural transformation based on the orientation map like spiral dynamics. And we thought, well, we need a better tool for it, because they very much accept the style of the map, but they always translate it into their mindset, which is then focused on whatever level they're looking into the world. Yeah. So, and we try to find a workaround that they open up for an experience that gives our customers the possibility to emotionally, or with a whole system, to really go through this experience. And this is when we came up with, while one of the aspects we can, one of the tools we can develop is a simulation. And that's what we did. And as we are some crazy guys from Germany and very creative and inventive with this style, and we came up with we were creating a couple of years, and then 2019, before the Corona crisis, let's say, we came up with a global community game and played it in several companies. And since then, it's been played all around the world. As you heard, a lot of what we do is internal cultural transformation. But the best thing I can do is probably I show you a couple of pictures and things like that, so you can dive a bit more into it. One question so far. I expect that when we come from the value match community, you are familiar with the framework of spiral dynamics. Is that right? Or do you need any explanation concerning that? No, very, very much thumbs up. Cool. So then we can skip that, and let's just look at some pictures here and how the game is designed, or what it's how this is working. Okay. Zoom says I'm sharing. So by now you should be able to see this presentation, right? Cool. Okay. The reason why I just briefly explained, we also have a great company in Germany that they call the Future Project. And this is part of their framework, the future system, where you see all the mega trends listed and all the I can make it a bit bigger here. Like the mega trends, climate change, globalization, urbanization, demographic shift, individualization, connectivity. And from there, a lot of transformations are coming up. Yeah, like from the, let's say, urbanization, we have a mind shift revolution, demographic shift. There will be some styles like co-societies we are creating right now, a consciousness economy, and so on and so on. So there are it's a lot of things are going on right now in the world, but everything we share, it all boils down to one aspect. There will be a shift, or there will be a bigger transformation. We don't know how to deal with it yet, but the basic thing, like following mega trends or VUCA world or AI revolution, is we haven't got, let's say, a clear idea on what's coming, which is completely fine because we are co-creating in this thing. We don't have, not a single one has the whole answer for those bigger challenges. So we need to get into a collective kind of co-creative research or co-creative, how do you say in English, embarkment or co-creative journey. Yeah, on everyone puts his genius minds together, and then we co-create, and we can find answers. We have good maps, but then it's the effort of how do we come together, and how do we deal with different attitudes, different mindsets, and different points of views, because we are basically all the same. We are human. Yeah, we're sharing so much DNA, 99.9999% of equal DNA stuff, but on the other and on top of that equalness, we're looking from different perspective, and we are living different stories. And now to find a, let's say, a strong, or what is lacking right now in many companies and in many societies, it's a optimistic and realistic story for the future. And this is basically what we realize in many companies and many people we are working with, also from the individual level to the team level, to the company level, to the society levels. No matter how big the groups are, many are lacking the idea of a positive outlook for the future, or realistic, optimistic outlook for the future. Seeing things ahead, but not, don't panic. Yeah, for all of those who have read Douglas Adams and the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and things like that. So don't panic, but also work on ideas how we can collectively create a strong optimistic future outlook. So, and how do we do that, or how do we come to that? The map spiral dynamics, it's one of those we're working with, which we experience as catchy and explainable, and also now with the simulation experienceable emotionally. And that's why we use the map, because it has an easy access on, well, basically I can tune in even if I don't know anything about the map before, I can easily tune in and then go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it gives you a lot of possibilities to work with it on a surface level as well as on a very, very deep level. And I'm still learning from it, you know. So this is the basic, one of the basic frameworks we use. Another basic framework comes from the level beige, so to say, which is the survival level, as you know. And this is when we realize in our times the level of the stress level expressed by people is very, very high. It's sometimes so high that they got into a freeze mode and think, or their heads, their bodies express a lot of stress, but their minds in their minds they tell themselves, "I'm so relaxed." Yeah, and this is why we use another framework as well that goes along very well with the beige level, and this is the polyvagal theory by Dr. Stephen Porges. And we also, you know, during the whole gameplay, you will see in a minute why. We rise the level of complexity. In the beginning, it's easy, and then it gets more and more ever complex. And this is why we refer, and many times during the simulation, to this model and to the experience. What kind of stress level am I in right now? And it's brilliant because people have another framework that's combined or close to spiral dynamics with a beige level, and that is the basic for self-regulation and self-awareness, and because it goes right into your autonomous nervous system, and we can work with that as well. This, you know, for those who are working in therapy, it is very much based on trauma therapy, where you use a lot of embodiment right nowadays, a lot of somatic experiences by Peter Levine and all the other great guys. And this is why we use it as well, because we see that a lot of stress is expressed right now. And if you cannot regulate to a level of social engagement, which is really relaxed and present, not really relaxed and mellow, but really present and awake, but also grounded. So you can, whenever you go into a relation with others, you can co-create. While in other higher dynamic situations, you're always in a defensive mode, and in defensive modes where we're in right now, you won't be creative, you won't be innovative, you cannot do new stuff. You're always stuck, and that's why we use it as well. So this in short about the basic models. And now the game, you know, the game is basically like you see on these two pictures. You play, you establish a world, right? And in this world, you have a central gaming table, which you see here in the middle. And this is the central world you are building up bit by bit. You are going through the whole evolution of mankind, starting with the purple level in the, you know, in the early cultures and the tribal situations. And the tribes are at the beginning, they are separated in four in the basic four directions we have, yeah, north, south, east, west. And in these countries, they start, so you can have a group setting of 15 to 26, about 26 people, which is then one playing group. In this kind of workshop setting, if you have larger groups, we also did large group events with 150 plus people, depending on the room and setting. Yeah, and there we, you know, in this case with more than 150 people, we played, I think it was up to six game worlds that are starting at the same time, and then are evolving and evolving in their rhythms, in their settings. And you also have a bigger setting of now we can also see what are the differences of the different evolutions of the worlds. No, so you can do crazy stuff with it, yeah. But basically, when you start with one group, what is happening? You start from simple to complex. The basic is always spiral dynamics beige, yeah, the soma level, somatic experiencing. And then you play through, you start with purple, like I said, in an easy setting, right at your table with your company. You set up a tribal system, you get resources, you deal with your resources, you try to, maybe you share resources, maybe not, maybe you're holding back, things like that, and you establish a small tribe, right? And then by the times, that's where you see the masks of these people, yeah. These are two queens, yeah, that first, without spoiling or doing some spoiler alerts here, we end somehow the participants will enter the red level, which means there will be strong leaders or there will be leaders. You don't know how they lead, but they have to lead then. And the world is then connecting. So you have other parties out there and you start the connectivity between many tribes to one global system. And there you can see if how the people react on power, yeah, and on willpower, and what do they establish. A very interesting dynamic that's unfolding by this time. After having played this first sprint with purple and red, the so-called I economy, we will do a reflection. Yeah, no matter how, you know, if you play it in 2 days, every section, like every of these 3 sprints, will possibly go around 3 hours gameplay or 3 hour simulation play, and then you do 45 minutes basic reflections on what happened there and what's your experience, and then we go on with the second sprint. If you play it a bit longer, you have more time for reflection, more time for transfer. That depends upon, yeah, what you expect and how much time you will take, or you will give yourself to go through the simulation. Second sprint will then kick off with blue. Yeah, you will get a bigger, let's say, game manual. And some people who really experience quite a lot of qualities into blue, you know, they really celebrate. Now finally I get clear instructions. I'm so happy to read through the instructions and know what to do, know how to win this, and yeah, know what my role is here. And others, you know, like people who have strong rejections in blue, they really, you know, they are disappearing or trying to get out of the situation. You know, all the escape movements you can imagine happen there. Yeah, so this is basically what happens throughout the whole game when we are creating this intense emotional experience within the game, because you're immersed. It's a game. It's fun, and at the same time it's very challenging, and you experience this was easy, now it gets a bit more complex, more complicated, and later complex. And you experience all this, whether you experience yourself in a high quality, like I really like this, I really feel well, I'm in a really good flow, I could stay a long time in this, or you experience some rejections you have with this particular level of spiral dynamics, and then you probably don't like it. You get frustrated and you try to escape, or your nervous system is really firing and gives you a lot of defense strategies. And this is just about the experience, you know. And in the reflections, we go bit by bit on what was your self-perception, and we start with perceptions. We start with your stories you put onto that. and we don't go in interpretations or evaluations. Yeah, this comes later. So it's very much based on what there's a high emotional dynamic and what happened to you and what was your story, what did you experience here, and by sharing this, people immediately realize that we have so many different experiences here, right? So third sprint then, there comes the integrational part from green up to a highly complex level where you need to establish systemic thinking processes, and you need to, let's say, integrate some of the aspects you did at the beginning of the game or of the simulation, because we constructed this gameplay like everything you do from the start, right from the start, when you start with sprint one, everything you do has effects later. And this is the magic all about, because then you can, once you did a movement in the past, you will maybe get the benefits from it later in the green phase, or you will get the, but also benefits, but maybe something that is not so pleasant, yeah, or some groups you cannot interact as well as you could because there was something happening in the past or some struggle in red, and you still carrying on with that, or you have to block someone, and even if you don't want that, and now they're a bit upset with you and things like that. A highly interactive situation, yeah. And the bigger the groups, the more interactions you will get. So in touching the yellow level, we also put in a lot of elements and frameworks from the agile movements up to different value economy systems. So you get also an alternative to the basic economic situations we're dealing with right now, just money. The money game will be here in orange. And later on, we provide different value economy systems that are existing right now in the world. Just to give you an idea what could come up in a bigger transformation also in the worldwide economy. And also you have to deal with global crisis. From pandemic situations, which we also had before we had the corona pandemic, we had the crisis with the pandemic situation in 2019, and later on our customer said, "You are crazy guys because you predicted the future." I said, "Yeah, but now you're prepared." So it's a lot of fun and a lot of things going on here. Now you got to tell me if you want to dive more into it, like the very, very basic situation is within those 2 days, or no matter how long you will play, will get a felt reference or a referential experience, so-called. Yeah. It goes deep into your system because it touches very much, it triggers. There are a lot of triggers in it, and it very much goes into your emotional level and your nervous system, and it gives you a lot of high quality experiences in a matter of, this is what I like, and a lot of experiences where there I'm a lot triggered. And you get a lot of competence, or what you can gain out of it is competence and stress regulation. A lot of self-awareness can come up. A lot of abilities how to connect, and again, get into your set your borders and get into and do the game from, now I want to connect and I want to have a good relation. Now I want to how do we say, want to get more into my autonomy. And this game from melting and getting together and then doing my stuff again, from individualism to collectivism, this is also a game a play you realize here. A lot of courage and assertiveness can come up with a red level. Blue, we have task distribution and delegation, because we have a lot of roles coming up and a lot of system establishing for what do I do, what is your responsibility. Then later, the orange phase, where you get a lot of strategic interactions, a lot of result orientation, how to win this thing. And later, when green comes in, we go for co-creating styles, dealing with ambiguity, dealing with paradoxes, a lot of things. Yes, and it's this and it's that at the same time. And you learn how to deal with it. And again, the basic competence, how do we lead in complex systems? Yeah, that is when yellow strikes in, and when we get a high complexity at the end of day two. So basically, these are the impacts I can give you in a nutshell. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So we now this is a lot, you know. Um, maybe a few words from me before we dive into your questions, um, on um, where it is, or what kind of impacts, and where do we do that? Yeah. Because we did it in a lot of different with lot of different companies, and a lot of different in a lot of different settings. So one aspect, of course, is the company setting, where maybe the HR experts or leaders of companies um, want to dive into what is transformation, what is coming up, and what does it mean to be a leader in the 21st century? Yeah, what kind of new abilities or competencies are waiting out there, and what do I need to lead other um, other people, other generations, and what is my new task here? And this is what is based that's working really well. Yeah, because with this experience, you're creating a lot of um, mm, ideas, or a lot of mm, emotional experiences, and then you can work with it and see how do we transfer this to a daily work. Yeah. Other settings could be education. We played it at schools with the teachers and also some parents. This is also a social setting. If you are from the educational system, we played it in universities, where you have the idea of what is, you know, what is coming up for students nowadays. We can focus on AI, and what kind of personalities are needed, or kind of values are needed right now out there to deal with the whole AI revolution. We played it in intercultural with intercultural issues and suspects in South America. You know, we also done worked a lot with Nelson Mandela. So this is also working very well, because it gives you a lot of triggers, and old stories are coming up there. And we are also we are also working with NGOs, like in the social businesses, where you also have the idealistic part of what can we deliver to the world, and how can we increase our impact with our NGOs. So there are many aspects, yeah, but it boils down to how do we connect the map of spiral dynamics or the profiles from value match, how do we link that to a personal experience? And then again, the personal experience, once we did the global community game, again, how do we transfer that into a daily business or behavior, or on the behavior level, how can we deal with different attitudes and different value systems out there when we have to collaborate there?
Jochen, can you
Yep.
say a few words about what focus you'll bring into the game that we will play in Utrecht?
Yes. In Utrecht, as we are, we expect many people that know a lot about spiral dynamics. We can, and also many of you will have profiles. Then we can really focus on the personal level of how do I experience my profile, so to say, in a simulative experience while interacting with others, and what kind of triggers are there, and if I look at my profile, what's happening there, and is it a match, or do I experience new elements there? What's happening there? Yeah, it's there we can dive a lot into the very personal experience and what are my qualities I'm living, what are my rejections I don't want to see, what are my blind spots, things like that. That is, and on a meta level, you can also we can also focus on what could be the application. Well, maybe later, if you've done the game at the end, what is a possible application once I experience this on my personal level? What can be an application for a group I'm working with or customers I have, things like that. Yeah.
Just for everybody, we will include an assessment with the workshop, right? So that is provided. Some of you already have done them recently, other ones longer time ago, and others not. So everybody gets their own personal profiles.
Very good. Then we're exactly working on both sides, yeah, on the analysis side and on the experience or emotional side.
Right.
Yeah, this is how it comes together. So questions, please. Or comments.
Let me say a few words about the somatic part, because that's something I didn't do in my introduction. Because one of the reasons I really wanted this event to happen in Utrecht is that we've been teaching spiral dynamics now since 2007, and I experimented a lot with 1 day experiences, 2.5 day experiences, and so on. And I've learned that there is so much to that there where we really experience the value systems in our interaction with others, we deepen so much of our understanding of it. And obviously, that can come in different forms. If you've known spiral dynamics for a long time and you've been applying it, you'll learn it every day. But these immersive experiences, they are, I did one myself when I didn't know anything about spiral dynamics. And that was early days in the development of that sort of stuff. But it was so impactful because it really gave me a sense to, not on the behavioral level, but on a deeper level, how do these systems feel? What is the feeling behind them? What drives it? And the interesting thing is, because I haven't done this game, but I've played, I've guided a lot of people to these games, is that most of us get sucked into it. So we like these value systems, they are alive in us, and we're going to see, in these immersive experiences, you're going to see how they are alive in you, and what is attractive and what is not so attractive, and where things are. So yeah, having said that, without having played Jochen's game, but this is the reason why I really encourage this. And of course, I am also looking at this being more applicable into organizations settings than some of the work that we've developed in that. So
Yes. And And you know how sticky it is. Like we told the story from many years ago when we did the value match certification, and you gave us the leadership, the short leadership task, a role play, so to say, or short experience, and how sticky that is, and still in your mind. And this is the same with a global community game because you're immersed in a play, but it's both. Yeah, it's not just playing and you're suddenly sometimes we have one of the funny stories is in any group when there is a lot of emotional arousal expressed, yeah, then we remind people, hey, it's just a game because they are so getting so immersed in the interactions and they're triggered a lot and then well it's just a game and then they realize, wow, what am I doing here? And this is how also children learn a lot from gameplay. Gameplay is learning, and this is why we said, well, in order to give people a chance to do a sort of vertical or give them at least a opportunity what kind of vertical development there could be. Yeah, this is one of the things that we can provide and say, yeah, it seems to work really, really well by experience, no matter where we played it.
I think we frequently have to remind people that it's not personal, right? So that you play, you go into the game, you got sucked
Yes,
into a role,
yes.
and that's for everybody to learn, right? So there's a
Okay,
question.
yes. In terms of business consulting, especially cultural transformation, how do you integrate this game into the project? Yes, well, big question. Um, well, it depends how good you know the customer, right? So if you have been working with a customer for a long time and you have a good relationship and you introduced a lot of models, then it's probably easier to say now to deepen your and go to an experience there and then transfer it into what culture or what transformation really needs within your company. We can go into this experience. Um, it's also working if you introduce the um, basically frameworks like spiral dynamics and people have a rough orientation and say now this is a framework that basically helps us understand our cultural shift. And once they say, okay, we have or we know a shift, or we want to do a horizontal development, so to say, and spreaden or deepen one aspect, maybe the structural aspects of blue, or maybe they think of a more shift into more empowerment of people, like then they have to shift to orange or something like that. And then you can address this in two ways. One aspect would be the leaders, because no matter how you put it, yeah, it starts with the leaders of the company, and that's why we always first of all we invite the leaders to go through a leadership experience, and then we give them the global community game. We provide also the analysis profiles. And then after having played, we bring that together, and then we reflect or we do reflections. One aspect is the personal level, my leadership competencies or my leadership journey, and there comes the leadership journey from it. And the other aspect is the cultural transformation and what the task of the different companies of the different company settings or are and you extract now in I don't know in our marketing we need more a shift to a clear high quality of orange, and the others need more settling in green, and others are, well, we are very highly innovative, we need more to activate yellow, systemic thinking, things like that. And there you can then from then you have the personal experience, you have cultural aspect that also show in the group dynamics, because once you have leadership groups together and you also can have teams together playing it, like we also do, put the IT together or put marketing together and do the global community game. That's also working because they see how they, within their teams, how they interact and how many active levels of spiral dynamics are there and how many rejections are there. And then you can basically work with any system, matching the map of spiral dynamics with the experience of the global community game. That's it. Or HR experience. And that is basically the next question here. Arjan, I have an HR background. Yeah.
It's what the one
Yes,
you.
it's basically the same, right?
That's okay. Yeah.
Trading oriented. Yes, process oriented or service oriented. Oh, yeah. Yeah. How does the game translate to organizational context? Well, yes, exactly like that. What I just told you. So, yes. Yeah, it's exactly like that. It depends on the size of the company and on the. It's basically not a matter of orientation. Like if your leaders basically have to learn more process orientation nowadays, yeah, to deal with it, and others have to be more service oriented. Depends what the learning should be, and are we on the right track, and do we have ideas on how to do that, or do we want to have a recheck, or yeah, do we want to recheck on our basic ideas if we have to be more service oriented, for instance, and then you do the game experience and later talk about it. And then are we on the right? Are we telling the right story here? Are we on the right track?
Okay.
Okay, we are done with,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
brings us
6-1.
to the hour that we had planned. So thank you very much, Jochen, for your ideas and time. It just gives me the idea. It's really well thought of, and I know that you guys have gone through a development process, and with also you touched upon
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, thank you all very
It's
much for listening, because I know it's not easy to explain. Yeah, because it's such a big framework, but I hope I could give you some impulses or ideas. In the meantime, if you have any questions, address them, and I will gladly take my time to answer it.
yeah. So anybody that's interested, I'll put the link in there now on our website, where you can see
Yes.
how we play this game in October in Utrecht. We have a very nice location in this near the center of the railway station. Very light and very well designed meeting system that friends of mine run. So I'm very lucky that we can host it there. There's early bird still available right now. So if you know that you're going to do that, it's a good time to book. And yeah, thank you everybody for attending and for your attention and your questions.
Have a good afternoon, or
Thank you.
whatever time there is at your place. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Jochen.